Pull up your bank statement. Not on your phone, the real one, the full PDF with every line item. Scroll past the deposits, past the rent, past the groceries. Look at the small charges, the $3 ones, the $5 ones, the ones with names you don't fully recognize. Now ask yourself, did you agree to all of those? Because the average American household is losing over $1,200 a year just in hidden costs tied to paying their own bills. That's before we even talk about your credit cards, your retirement account, or the streaming service you forgot you signed up for last March. That number, $1,200, isn't a worst case. It's the average, and it's only the beginning. The modern financial system runs on fees, not interest, not investment returns, fees. Small, automatic, recurring charges designed to be just low enough that you never bother to question them. This isn't accidental. It's the single most reliable revenue stream in consumer finance because it depends on one thing that virtually every customer provides for free: inattention. Banks don't make their money the way most people imagine. They don't just lend your deposits out at higher rates and pocket the difference. That's part of it, sure, but the fee machine runs alongside it, and in some cases, it's more profitable. In 2024 alone, Americans paid an estimated $12.1 billion in overdraft and non-sufficient funds fees. The credit card industry collected another $14 billion in late fees. ATM surcharges hit all-time highs. And that's just the stuff they print on your statement. The fee economy didn't appear overnight. It evolved. Decades ago, most checking accounts were free. Banks wanted your deposits because they could lend them out at a profit. That was the deal. You give us your money, we keep it safe, we both win. But as interest margins got thinner and competition got fiercer, banks found a new revenue source. Not from lending your money, from charging you to use it. And once one bank started, the rest followed, because the math was too good to ignore. A fee that 90% of customers never question is more reliable than any loan portfolio. These fees aren't illegal. They're not hidden in the traditional sense. They're disclosed somewhere, buried in a terms of service document that averages around 30,000 words, roughly the length of a short novel. The disclosure exists so the company can say they told you. The length exists so you'll never read it. Not financial advice here, by the way, just a walk through the system as it stands. Start with the most basic fee in banking, the monthly maintenance charge. This is the fee your bank charges you for the privilege of keeping your money with them. Think about that for a second. You're handing them your paycheck, they're lending it out and earning interest on it, and then they're charging you a monthly fee on top of that. As of early 2026, the average monthly maintenance fee on a checking account is $13.95. That's $167 a year just for having the account open. Nearly half of all non-interest checking accounts charge this fee, and the majority of people paying it could get it waived if they set up direct deposit or maintained a minimum balance. Most don't, because most don't know. Then there's the ATM fee. If you use a machine outside your bank's network, you get charged twice. The ATM's owner charges you an average of $3.22. Then your own bank charges you another $1.64 for going out of network. Total, $4.86 per withdrawal, a record high. In cities like Atlanta and Phoenix, that number crosses $5. You went to grab $40 for parking, and you paid a 12% surcharge for the convenience. Use an out-of-network ATM twice a week, and you're spending over $500 a year on the right to access your own money. Now, overdraft fees. This is where the system turns predatory. You've got $412 in your checking account. You buy groceries for $420. Your bank covers the $8 difference and charges you $26.77 for the favor. That's the average overdraft fee in 2025. And here's the detail that matters. 9% of bank accounts generate roughly 80% of all overdraft fee revenue. The same people, overwhelmingly lower income, are getting hit over and over. The fee isn't really a service charge. It's a short-term loan at an annualized interest rate that would make a payday lender blush. If you overdraft by $20 and get charged $27 and you cover it 3 days later, that's an annualized rate of over 16,000%. In 2024, JP Morgan Chase collected over $1 billion in overdraft fees. Wells Fargo collected another $1 billion. The top 10 banks and one credit union pulled in nearly $3.5 billion combined. Some banks have eliminated overdraft fees entirely. Capital One dropped theirs and went from nearly $58 million in overdraft revenue to near zero. But most haven't. A rule from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau would have capped overdraft fees at $5. It never took effect. Credit card late fees work the same way. Miss your payment by a single day, and you're looking at a $32 charge on average. $41 if it happens again within 6 billing cycles. 45 million Americans get hit with late fees every year. The industry takes in over $14 billion annually from these charges alone. In 2024, the CFPB finalized a rule to cap late fees at $8. In April 2025, a federal court in Texas vacated it. The $32 fee is back. No cap, no ceiling, inflation adjusted upward every year. Here's a question worth sitting with. What's a fee you only discovered after you were already paying it? Those were the fees you can find if you read your statement carefully enough. They're painful, but they're at least visible. The more expensive ones aren't. They don't appear as line items. They're percentages, baked into transactions, deducted before you ever see your returns. And they're where the real money disappears. Foreign transaction fees hit you every time you swipe a credit card outside the United States, or sometimes when you buy something online from a company that processes payments through a foreign bank. The fee is typically 1 to 3% of the purchase amount. The average across all credit cards is about 1.58%. Spend $3,000 on a 2-week trip to Europe with a card that charges 3%, and you've paid $90 in fees that never appeared on a receipt. You won't see a line item that says foreign transaction fee $90. It's folded into the converted amount. And it's not just travel. Buy software from a company based in Ireland. Subscribe to a service that bills through Singapore. Order something from a shop that processes payments in the UK. And that 1 to 3% shows up on each charge. Some cards don't charge this fee at all, Capital One and Discover among them. But roughly 90% of credit cards do, and 1 in 3 cardholders doesn't even know whether their card is one of them. Balance transfer fees are another quiet drain. The pitch sounds great. Move your high-interest credit card debt to a new card with 0% interest for 12 to 21 months. Pay it down without interest eating into every payment. What they mention quickly and in smaller font is the transfer fee, typically 3 to 5% of the amount moved. The average is about 3.28%. Transfer $10,000 in debt, and you owe $300 to $500 before you've made a single payment. The fee gets added to your new balance immediately. You're paying for the privilege of moving your own debt from one bank to another. And if you don't pay off the full balance before that promotional period ends, the interest rate jumps to somewhere between 17 and 29%. The 0% window isn't generosity. It's a bet that you won't finish paying in time. Then there's the one that costs more than all the others combined, and almost nobody talks about it. The expense ratio on your retirement investments. Every mutual fund and exchange-traded fund inside your 401k charges an annual fee called an expense ratio. It's a percentage of your total investment, deducted automatically, never appearing as a withdrawal on your statement. The average expense ratio for equity mutual funds in 401k plans has dropped over the years, down to about 0.26% in 2024. That sounds tiny. It isn't. The U.S. Department of Labor ran this example, and it's worth hearing precisely. Take a 25-year-old with $25,000 in a retirement account. Assume 7% average annual returns over 35 years, no additional contributions. At a 0.5% fee, that account grows to $227,000. At 1.5%, it grows to only $163,000. Same money, same market, same 35 years. The 1% difference in fees reduced the final balance by 28%. That's $64,000 that didn't go to a fund manager's yacht. Well, it did. It just didn't go to your retirement. And many plans charge more than expense ratios alone. There are administrative fees, record-keeping fees, 12b1 distribution fees, and sub-transfer agent fees buried in prospectuses that most people have never opened. Some small company plans have all-in costs above 2%. At that level, over a 40-year career, paying just 1% more in fees can cost over $590,000 compared to a lower-cost alternative. That isn't a rounding error. That's a decade of retirement income. And the cruelest part? Your employer chose the plan. You didn't pick the fund lineup. You didn't negotiate the fees. In most cases, you were auto-enrolled into whatever default option was available, and you stayed there because that's what defaults are designed to make you do. Mortgage closing costs deserve a mention too. The national average is $4,661, and they range from 2 to 5% of the loan amount. A CFPB analysis found that closing costs rose over 36% between 2021 and 2023. Some of those fees are legitimate, appraisals, title searches. Others are vague processing fees or underwriting fees that vary wildly between lenders for the same service. The difference between shopping around and accepting the first quote can be thousands of dollars on a single transaction. So step back for a moment and look at the full picture. The first set of fees, the maintenance charges, the ATM surcharges, the overdraft penalties, they punish mistakes. You went to the wrong ATM. You spent $8 more than your balance. You paid your bill a day late. Those fees are the stick. The second set, the expense ratios, the foreign transaction percentages, the balance transfer charges, they don't punish mistakes at all. They punish inaction. You didn't switch to a no-fee checking account. You didn't compare expense ratios in your 401k. You didn't check whether your credit card charges 3% on international purchases. You didn't do anything wrong. You just didn't ask questions. And that's exactly what makes them more expensive. The fees that require you to mess up have a natural ceiling because eventually you stop overdrafting or start paying on time. The fees that require you to do nothing have no ceiling at all. They compound for decades. There's a behavioral reason this works so well, and it's not that people are careless. It's that the human brain isn't built to track small, recurring losses. A $26 overdraft fee hurts. You see it, you feel it. But a 0.75% expense ratio? That doesn't trigger any pain signal because you never held that money in your hand. It was deducted from returns you would have earned, which means you're comparing your balance to a number you've never seen. You can't miss money you never knew you had. Psychologists call this the pain of paying, and it works on a spectrum. Cash hurts the most. You physically hand it over. Credit cards hurt less. Automatic deductions hurt the least. And percentage-based fees, deducted from investment returns before they're reported to you, those don't hurt at all. The entire fee structure of modern finance is engineered to move charges down that spectrum, away from cash, away from line items, toward invisible percentages that accumulate in silence. There's also something called status quo bias at work. Switching banks, comparing 401k funds, reading the fine print on your credit card, these all require effort, and the effort feels disproportionate to the reward because each individual fee seems small. You're not going to spend an hour on hold with your bank over a $5.47 monthly charge, which is exactly why they charge $5.47 and not $50. The amount is calibrated to fall below your threshold for action. Consider the subscription economy as a parallel. The average American spends about $219 a month on subscriptions, but estimates they spend $86. That's not a small gap. People underestimate their own spending by more than 2.5 times. 42% of consumers admit they've forgotten about at least one subscription they're still paying for. 70% have forgotten to cancel a free trial, accidentally locking themselves into a paid plan. The average cost of those forgotten subscriptions is around $200 a year, just gone, every year, for services nobody is using. The companies offering those trials know exactly what they're doing. They require your credit card upfront, set the trial to convert automatically, and bury the cancellation process behind phone calls, chat agents, or multi-step online forms. Some services make it so difficult to cancel that the FTC has started calling the practice a dark pattern, an interface designed to trick you into staying subscribed. The same psychology applies to every fee we've covered. The 12b-1 fee in your mutual fund, the monthly maintenance charge you could waive but haven't, the 3% foreign transaction fee you didn't know your card charged. Each one individually feels too small to worry about. Together, they represent thousands of dollars a year, and over a career, potentially hundreds of thousands. The system that created these fees isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Every fee we've talked about has a cheaper alternative. No-fee checking accounts exist. 47% of non-interest checking accounts don't charge monthly maintenance fees at all. Credit unions often waive overdraft charges. Index funds, with expense ratios under 0.1%, are available in most retirement plans. Credit cards with no foreign transaction fees are a single search away. The alternatives aren't hidden. They're not exclusive. They're just one step away from where you are now. And that one step is the entire business model. The financial industry's most reliable bet isn't that you'll make bad decisions. It's that you'll make no decision at all. That you'll keep the checking account you opened in college. That you'll stay in whatever mutual fund your employer defaulted you into. That you'll never read the fee schedule, never compare expense ratios, never call to ask why you're paying $13 a month for an account that should be free. 19% of Americans say they keep their bank account simply because it's the one they've always had, not because it's the best, not because it's cheapest, because switching feels like too much effort. Financial inertia isn't a character flaw. It's the product the industry is selling. They don't need you to be uninformed. They just need you to be busy. So here's the framework. Before you sign anything, open any account, or let any subscription auto-renew, ask 3 questions. First, what am I paying that isn't the price? Every financial product has a sticker price and a real price. The sticker price is the interest rate, the monthly premium, the stated cost. The real price includes every fee attached to it. Second, what happens if I do nothing? If the answer is, I keep paying the same fee forever, that's a fee designed to profit from your inertia. Third, who benefits from me not asking this question? If the answer is the company charging the fee, you found the problem. 1% doesn't sound like much. $4.86 doesn't sound like much. $13.95 a month doesn't sound like much. None of them sound like much. That's the point. That's always been the point. The genius of the modern fee economy isn't that the charges are hidden. It's that they're visible, technically disclosed, sitting right there in the paperwork, and still invisible because they're designed to fall below the threshold where you do something about them. That money on your bank statement, the charges you scrolled past, the percentages you've never checked, the subscriptions you forgot, they're still there. They were there yesterday. They'll be there tomorrow. The only thing that's changed is now you know what to look for. If this made something click, subscribe. What's a fee you only discovered after you were already paying it?